How's it going, Fish fam? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're gonna be doing things a little bit differently. I know I am normally just your average everyday React YouTuber. Solo leveling has ended. I'm waiting on my hero to come out. I'm waiting on Demon Slayer to come out. But that being said, I am a pretty small YouTuber, so I'm kind of at the will of the algorithm, you know what I mean? I have got to keep posting consistent content. That means bare minimum, you guys have got to get 3 videos a week, or I'm just going to, slowly fade away into obscurity. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if my ego can take declining viewership, so here we are. Now, I'm sure as people who watch anime content on YouTube, you're probably pretty familiar with people who put out like tier list videos, top 10 anime all time, top 10 anime characters, my favorite moments in anime, hype moments in what, all that shit. I feel like this is a really good opportunity for you guys to get to learn a little bit more about me. So we are going to be going over my top 10 most, I guess you could say, rewatched animes. Listen, these are my top 10 animes all time. What I'm here to do is, not necessarily go all the way back into a time capsule or, talk about, do a whole video on Cowboy Bebop, something like that, but there have been so many great animes like across, all the years that I've been watching content, that what I really wanted to do was give you guys a sense of who I am and, how I have sort of related to the genre. So I put together this list of my top 10, and the way I sort of thought about it was, what shows do I consider the most rewatchable, if that makes sense? If there's like a show that I can just always go back to and just sort of re-enjoy, like it's, not necessarily like it's the same as the first time watching, but I can still get like the same level of enjoyment out of watching it again. And the other sort of thing that I thought about was, being a React YouTuber, I'm sure just like a lot of you who are watching this video, I watch a lot of React YouTubers, especially in like the anime space. So I thought about, what animes that, when creators put out videos about this anime, or when reactors are watching this show, do I like make a real genuine effort to be like, oh shit, like they're watching this show, I have got to like go and check it out. Or, if I see a thumbnail pop up regarding that show, I'm like, damn, okay, save the watch later, make sure I have like it in the back of my mind to go and watch that at some point throughout the day or throughout the week, whatever the case is. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for some of these picks, but, just feel free to flame me in the comments, it helps the algorithm either way. And also, if this is your first time checking out the channel, make sure you hit the subscription button. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you get notified the next time I post any of my React content. Or, if you like videos that are similar to this, let me know in the comments, and make sure to drop a like so I know that I can make videos like this in the future. All right, so coming in at number 10 for me on my anime tier list is gonna be iShield 21. Don't traditionally like sports animes, with like a few exceptions. iShield 21 being the biggest one of those exceptions, and then also stuff like Blue Lock and Aoashi. But the majority of sports animes just don't really appeal to me. Something about the storyline of iShield 21 though just, really spoke to me. Maybe it's the fact that I, did play football growing up, or it's a sport that I still currently follow, but just iShield 21 comes in at number 10. It has a lot of different elements going for it. It's has like funny moments, it has serious moments, it can be even inspirational at times. If you haven't taken a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. Coming in at number 9 on my list is going to be Rurouni Kenshin. For me, the character of Kenshin is just so likable. There's just like everything about his character just really, you get attached to him super quickly. I mean, you get attached to a lot of the characters in that show really quickly, but Kenshin specifically is just, he's just the best dude, right? And you just want him to succeed so much throughout the show that it's just something where I can go and rewatch it whenever. Even, you know, the older animation style, even the live action movies, it's just such a likable character. And across all of like these different iterations of the character, they've done such a good job. Obviously, I'm gonna recommend like the original as sort of a jumping off point, but there's like so much extra content out there that if you don't have the ability to invest that much time into the series, you know, if you can invest an hour and a half versus I think it's like 60 episodes that are like 20 minutes a piece. If you want to invest just like an hour and a half instead and just check out, you know, a highlight reel of that's essentially what I consider like the live action movies to be, then do that. Coming in at number 8 on my all-time most rewatchable animes, it's gonna be High School of the Dead. Listen, I know it's a controversial pick. I know you guys are gonna call me like a coomer in the comments or something like that. High School of the Dead is so goddamn entertaining, especially considering that it never really like got finished. You know what I mean? If you want to just like watch something super short and be entertained the whole time, it's High School of the Dead. You can, you know, rewatch it however many times you want. All right, look, there was a period of time in my life after watching High School of the Dead where there was only one website where I could go to rewatch it. And I still watched it. Like, it's a really good show. I don't know why I like it so much. I think I just have like a lot of fond memories attached to it. Me and my cousin, who I'm still super close to, watched High School of the Dead together, and we pretty much just like binge watched that show in like one night, basically. And so it's just always a show that I've really enjoyed. I don't know. If you want to check it out, check it out. And for those of you who have already seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great show. All right, number 7 on my list is probably going to be the show that I get the most hate for. Number 7, most rewatchable animes of all time, Sword Art Online. I know, listen, stop typing, just listen to what I have to say. Whether or not you like the later seasons of the show, I personally do. Listen, I personally do. I really like Kirito. I like the whole journey that he goes on throughout the series. Whether or not you like the later iterations of the show, one thing that you like have to kind of give respect to him for is Sword Art Online is responsible, more or less. I know there were other shows previously that were doing similar isekai type concepts, I'm aware, but Sword Art Online really like popularized this genre of like video game isekai, whether it's something like, you know, reincarnation of a slime or reincarnated as a slime, you know, Shangri-La Frontier, trapped in a dating sim. There's like a lot of content that has kind of been allowed to flourish because of Sword Art Online, and I just really appreciate that aspect of it. But even aside from that context of it, for me, it was just always a really enjoyable show. For me, I still really enjoyed the show all the way throughout. I liked the Gun Gale stuff. I liked the Gun Gale spin-off. Like, the series itself is something that for me is just like a comfort pick. Number 6 is probably one that would surprise a lot of people. At least I think it probably will. But number 6 for me is actually D Gray Man. So for those of you who are kind of like unfamiliar with that show, I'm not surprised. For those of you who do really like that show, I think, you know, you'll understand where I'm coming from. But early on in my childhood, I watched like a lot of like Dragon Ball type content, you know, whatever was basically on Toonami. And then there was like a couple of like gap years, like middle school, early high school, where I really wasn't watching a ton of anime just in general. But D Gray Man was kind of like my reintroduction to anime as a whole, just because I sort of just fell out of watching it for a while and wasn't super caught up on anything. But then, you know, I just had a couple of friends who were watching that show, told me to check it out, and when I did, it sort of reintegrated me, I guess, into like weeb culture. And so for me, it's just always held like a sort of special place, just in terms of, you know, bringing me back and like reintroducing me to the content as a whole. The characters like fit so well in the world and tell such a compelling story that it's just something that I feel like I always enjoy whenever I watch it. All right, so we're halfway through. We're gonna talk about my top 5 favorite shows now, in terms of rewatchability. And I just wanted to say, like, real quick before I get too in depth on this, I just wanted to kind of give this little precursor, I guess. The reason why the shows in my top 5 are in my top 5 is just because every time I see a reactor put out content related to these shows, I just feel like I learn so much more about that person as a creator, just because like it's pretty parasocial, but like I feel like I can relate to them better through those shows than I can any others, just because I am so familiar with them that it just lends itself to that. I'm more likely to watch their content just because I feel like, because of those shows and like my familiarity with those shows, I can like really relate to them. Anytime you watch a video like this where someone's talking a lot about, you know, animes that they like or animes that they, you know, really enjoy, favorite animes, top whatever animes of all time, it's probably going to be one of the ones that makes it onto the list. And for me, that's going to be Death Note. I know not everybody sort of likes the tail end of the show. Again, a lot of the things I have listed on here are picks that traditionally maybe a lot of people don't like the second half of the show, but I kind of like forgive it its faults because I have such fond memories about it. I watched the Death Note live action. I watched both of them. Neither one of... Listen, we don't have to talk about the live actions. Forget I said anything about the live actions. Editor Gabe, cut that part out. You know, it goes on every list, and it goes on every list for obvious reasons. It's a really enjoyable show. I feel like it's just one of those shows that's probably going to withstand the test of time. I mean, it already has, but, you know, even more so. Because at this point, it's almost a 20-year-old show, but it still, you know, manages to land on a lot of people's lists. Coming in at number 4 on my most rewatchable animes of all time. I know you guys are gonna say some shit in the comments, but it's My Hero. It's My Hero. I really enjoyed the storyline for the show. I've always been a weekly watcher of My Hero. I don't know, it's just a really great modern shonen. For me, there's not really any like singular arc that I can point to and be like, yeah, I wouldn't want to watch that, or I would, you know, tell somebody to skip over that section of the show. You know, it's not really important. Every season, every arc of My Hero Academia was just really compelling. Whether we were focusing on like, you know, just improving ourselves as individuals, or whether we were like building out the world, fleshing out the history, learning more about like even the villain characters who, you know, get their own shot at being basically the main characters of the show for a pretty sizable portion. My Hero is one of the best like modern examples of what a really good shonen like could be. And for me, the way like the show is organized, I feel like I can just go watch any individual arc and still enjoy it. Not necessarily as much as the first time I watched it, but I'll still, you know, enjoy it a ton regardless. Pretty much all of the shows in my top 3 most like rewatchable shows are shows where if I could choose to just have my memory completely wiped and have never seen those shows before and rewatch them again for the first time, I would do that on the spot. Like that was the criteria I thought about for these shows, and like it's just, they're just such compelling stories to me personally, and they're all so personal to me, and I feel like I relate to each of them so well on different levels, just to different characters and different storylines. And so that was, if you're wondering why a show is like in this top 10 but not in the top 3, it's because the shows in the top 3 I would choose to have brain surgery to watch again for the first time. That being said, number 3 on the list is going to be Vinland Saga. Every time I see a creator put out something having to do with Vinland Saga, it's an instant click. It's instant. I must watch this. I have to know, you know, what they think about the Arnheid arc. I have to know what they think about, like, you know, Baby Thorfinn arc. The entirety of that show is just so powerful in the way that it's like made and the message that it's telling. It's just like such a compelling storyline that despite the fact that I know, you know, what's gonna happen, I know where we're going, I know what's going to happen to this character, I don't care. I can just watch it, and it's like I'm experiencing the same pain of watching it for the first time. You know what I mean? It's just such an emotionally powerful show that it just like really grabs onto you, and like it just doesn't let go. You know what I mean? Moving on to our final 2. Coming in at number 2. This is a show that I'm sure, you know, every episode basically left you with more questions than answers. You're pretty much really unsure throughout the whole series what exactly is going on. Every time I was able to like introduce someone new to the show and kind of watch them experience it for the first time. The same goes for like just seeing reactors watching this show. It just made me so happy because I was like a little kid. I was like, ha ha ha, I know something you don't know. And it was just like, like the show just makes me so happy because there is just so much going on that throughout the course of the show, it's just such a crazy, wild ride, and getting to see other people see it for the first time is just so amazing that I don't care how many times I have rewatched the show personally, because I've gotten to see other people go on that journey. But that show taking up the number 2 spot on my list is going to be Attack on Titan. It's just such an enjoyable show for me personally to watch, and then even more so to take it to like another level. It's even more fun for me to like see other people having that same experience that I know that I've already had. And there's just so many powerful moments throughout the show that you really have a lot of emotional attachment to certain characters. There's a ton of emotional depth going on into the show, regardless of how great the action sequences are and final battles being so like visually stunning. Regardless of all of that, it's still like one of the most emotionally engaging shows that I've ever seen. For those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, you might not be aware, but I'm like throughout this year currently building out an anime tattoo leg sleeve. At some point, Erwin's gonna go on to that leg sleeve, 100% for sure. It's just such a wild ride every time. Having the context of like already knowing what happens in the show and knowing where it's going to end, if you go back right now and like rewatch, there's so many like small minute details that you would never pick up on your first watch through, but it's like, oh holy shit, wow, like we should have known from the very beginning where all of this was going, right? And I'm not just talking about like the obvious stuff, but there are a ton of moments throughout the show that on hindsight, if you go back and rewatch it, you're like, oh shit, I'm so stupid, how did I not notice that? Before I give you my number one, I'm gonna give you some honorable mentions. These are 5 animes that I have really enjoyed watching at different points in my life and have like gone back and watched a couple of times just because I found them so enjoyable. Or, you know, some of them are even currently airing right now and I was like weekly watching. It felt like I would be doing a disservice to not at least, you know, throw their names out there. Help these small time anime creators, you know, give them my platform because they need the extra help and attention from, you know, a big YouTuber like me. I'm gonna go over my 5 honorable mentions. This is no particular order. They're just, you know, 5 shows that I, again, you know, really enjoyed, but weren't quite at the level for me to be on this top 10 list. First off, we have Spy Family. I mean, for me, it has so much heart and it's such like a funny cast of characters. Typically, there's not like a ton of comedy or like funny animes that I spend a lot of time watching, but Spy Family is definitely one of those ones that's up there for me. Next one, and I know I just said I don't watch like a lot of funny, goofy type animes, but again, up there on this honorable mention list is going to be Assassination Classroom. I really enjoy that show. I've watched it a few times all the way through, and it's still really enjoyable every time I watch it. Continuing on with my honorable mentions, we have Hikaru no Go, a really enjoyable show for me. It's kind of like a sleeper pick that not a ton of people really watch just because of like the subject matter of the show isn't super exciting for most people. Literally had zero familiarity with like the game of Go when I was first watching it. You know, like iShield 21, they do a really good job of like explaining the context and the rules of the game as it's going on. Continuing on with the honorable mentions, we have Blue Exorcist or Aono Exorcist, you know, whichever you prefer. This one, again, kind of fell into the same timeline as like D-Gray-man, where like I wasn't super into like manga. I wasn't like super into anime manga culture at the time, but Blue Exorcist was, like I said, sort of at that same time period as D-Gray-man. D-Gray-man was like the anime that got me back into watching anime, and Blue Exorcist was like the manga that got me back into reading mangas. And finally, on my honorable mentions, I have the Fate series, you know, specifically Unlimited Blade Works, but I've really enjoyed most of the Fate content that I've watched, and I feel like it just covers such, it's like such a diverse group of content where it has like own like cinematic universe, like the Fate, the FCU, if you will, the Fate cinematic universe, where, yeah, if you wanted to, you can kind of like follow this breadcrumb of storyline and, you know, see how these families interact with each other throughout like decades of history. If that's something that you want to do, that's not always the case. Sometimes it's like, you know, completely separate, its own little thing, but you can also just kind of hop in whenever you want and sort of pick and choose what you're gonna watch, and it's still gonna be like a great watch through for you. We're finally here. My number one most rewatched anime of all time. And I know this is going to come as a huge shock to a lot of you guys. It's probably gonna be you know, one you didn't expect. It's Naruto. I'm fucking with you guys. It's Naruto. Naruto is my number one. I know it's so fucking basic. I'm a big 3 Andy. I'm a shonen boy. I will always love Naruto. I will ride or die for Naruto. It's just always gonna be a goated show for me, just because it's, you know, what I grew up watching. As Naruto was aging, I was aging along with him. You know what I mean? And I grew up alongside him. Like, I can't fully express like how attached to that character and that storyline I am. Every part of that story I really love. I'm not a big Naruto versus Mecha Naruto guy, but I will recommend most people when they're watching Naruto, especially Naruto Shippuden for the first time, that they go through the fillers, because a lot of the fillers, despite the fact that they're not necessarily canon, they do such a good job of building the world and building out these side characters who do have a lot of like influence in the world as a whole and are still like really ingrained into the main cast of characters, that I feel like it's so important to watch that full storyline all the way through. Obviously, you know, a large part of it is because I'm so attached to it, but I feel like it's worth it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. That's my list. You can hate it, you can love it. Really, for any of these shows that I'm listing, if you haven't seen them before, take this as the SpartnFish guarantee, or the SpartnFish stamp of approval, if you will. If you check them out and you don't like them, then make sure you come back to this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know. If you guys have a list of anime that you know, rewatch, or if, you know, I'm the only one who's out here rewatching anime, I know that's not true. If you guys tell me that you don't rewatch anime, you're lying to me. But listen, if this video helped you guys to learn a little bit more about like who I am, my personality, my backstory, what my journey with anime has looked like at all, then feel free to leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought of this list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate the fact that Naruto is my number one? Do you hate the fact that SAO made it onto somebody's top 10 list? Just let me know. With all that being said, don't forget to hit the subscription button down below. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you get notified the next time I post a video. And I'll see you guys on the next one.